Hey, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are talking about a really powerful global strategy that gets right to the heart of disability and poverty. It's called Community-Based Rehabilitation, or CBR. Think of it as a blueprint for building a world that truly includes every single person. Let's jump in.
All right, let's start with just one number, 80%. That's the estimated slice of the world's population of persons with disabilities who live in developing countries. Now that is no coincidence. It immediately shines a huge spotlight on this deep, undeniable link between disability and poverty. It's a cycle that traps millions. So how exactly does this cycle work?
Well, to really get the solution that CBR offers, we first have to wrap our heads around the true nature of the problem. And I'll tell you, it's probably not what most of us think it is. What we're looking at here is a classic vicious cycle. On one hand, poverty. Things like poor nutrition or no access to healthcare is a major cause of disability. And at the exact same time, having a disability can push you right into poverty. I mean, people with disabilities make up a massive chunk. We're talking up to 20% of the world's absolute poorest. Why? Because they're systematically shut out of the very things that could let them build a life: healthcare, education, a chance to earn a living. This exclusion, it's not just a sad result of the cycle, it's literally the engine that keeps the whole thing spinning. You know, this isn't just about numbers and charts. Let's make this real. Take the story of a young girl named Salam. When she was 8, she started getting bad headaches. Her family was poor, they couldn't get her proper medical care. Her condition just got worse, she slowly lost her sight, had to drop out of school, and she became totally isolated and depressed. People started seeing her as a burden. It was only when a CBR program finally came to her village that she got the surgery she needed, a chance to learn Braille, and a way to connect with her community again. Her story just shows you the devastating human cost of this cycle of poverty and exclusion. Salam's story is so important because it shows us the real problem wasn't just her medical condition, it was all the barriers society put in her way. And that realization right there sparked a completely revolutionary shift in how the world thinks about disability. Okay, so what you're seeing here are two totally different ways of looking at the world. The old way, the medical model, saw disability as an individual's problem that needed to be fixed. You know, the focus was all on treatment, on cure. But this newer social and human rights model, it completely flips the script. It says the real disability isn't in the person, it's in society. It's the physical barriers, the negative attitudes, the policies that shut people out. And that changes everything. The goal isn't to fix the person anymore, it's to fix the society that's creating the barriers. And this powerful idea, it didn't come from some committee in a boardroom. It came from people with disabilities themselves. This phrase, "nothing about us without us," became the global rallying cry for the disability rights movement. It's a clear, powerful demand for a seat at the table. It means that any policy, any program, any decision that affects their lives has to be made with their full participation. No exceptions.
And you can actually see this new way of thinking become official global policy over time. If you look back to 1978, the approach was still pretty medical. But fast forward to 2004, and you see major UN agencies completely redefine community-based rehabilitation. It's not just a health issue anymore. It's a broad development strategy for fighting poverty and creating inclusion. And then the big one, the landmark 2006 UN Convention, which basically cemented this human rights approach into international law. So, with this new human rights mindset locked in, what's the actual plan, right? How do you take these big ideas and make them happen on the ground? Well, that brings us to the blueprint itself. This is the official definition of CBR. Now, notice the keywords here. It's a strategy within general community development. That's huge. It's about rehabilitation, sure, but it's just as much about poverty reduction, equal opportunities, and social inclusion for everyone. It's the strategic answer to that vicious cycle we saw at the beginning.
And to make this really practical, the strategy uses a framework called the CBR Matrix. This is the blueprint for inclusion. It's built on 5 key pillars. You've got the ones you'd expect, right? Health, education, and livelihood. But it also includes 2 others that are just as crucial. The social pillar, which is all about being part of community life, and the empowerment pillar, which is really the foundation that holds the whole thing up.
Each of these pillars has multiple parts.
So let's just zoom in on the health pillar for a second. See how it's not just about medical care after something goes wrong? By including promotion and prevention, the strategy tries to stop disabling conditions from ever happening in the first place. And it's this kind of 360-degree thinking, from prevention all the way to assistive devices, that makes the whole matrix such a detailed and useful roadmap for communities.
Okay, so a blueprint is great, but how do you actually build the house? The CBR strategy has a really clear, manageable process for communities to turn this whole plan into a reality. It uses a really simple 4-stage management cycle. First, you do a situation analysis. You're basically asking, okay, where are we now? You talk to people, you find out what the real needs are. Second, planning. Based on what you learned, you decide what to do and how to do it. Third, you implement and monitor. You get the plan going, but you keep a close eye on how it's working. And finally, you evaluate. You step back and ask, did it work? What was our real impact? This structure is what makes CBR so practical. It's a repeatable process, not just some lofty idea. So let's pull all these threads together. What's the end game here? What's the ultimate goal of this entire strategy? This quote from a former president of the World Bank, it just says it all. He's making it crystal clear that our biggest global goals, like ending extreme poverty, are flat out impossible to achieve if we keep leaving one of the world's largest minorities behind. Inclusion isn't a nice-to-have side project. It is absolutely central to development itself. And that's really the bottom line. The big UN conventions give us the principles, the human rights. But community-based rehabilitation gives us the practical, hands-on strategy to make those rights a reality for people like Salam, right in their own communities. It's the bridge that connects a global promise to local action, all in the service of creating what we all want, a society for all.
And that leaves us with one last thought, because this isn't just about programs in faraway places. That social model of disability challenges every one of us to look around our own neighborhoods, our own workplaces, our own schools. So the question to take away is this: what's one barrier, whether it's a flight of stairs or a negative attitude, in our own community that we can help remove to build a truly more inclusive society? Thanks for joining me for this Explain.